So you want to get solar installed? Let me show you how. Here it is. Now believe it or not, under that layer of snow there are 32 solar panels. Welcome to the heart of winter in the Great British countryside. We're here, it's 0 degrees, and what are we doing? Installing solar panels. Guys are up on the roof now just measuring everything out. I'm working down in the plant room today. We've got a whole layout with solar inverter, battery storage and electric vehicle charging. 2 rows of 8 panels on each side. They are Canadian solar 400 watt panels. We've got 2 strings. They're going to start here, go up that side, hop across through to the other side of the roof and then back essentially. We'll check that we've got everything that we need and then we'll mark it all out with chalk so we know that where everything's going before we start hacking tiles around and stuff. So these are our optimizers. That's a box of hooks. No roof clamps, 16 end clamps, which that looks about right. I mean, if it goes well, we might have them all on today, but otherwise by the end of the day tomorrow at the latest, we want to have all the rails on. Who wants a croissant?
Cheers, mate. Take that down the pub.
It's about here.
That's going to completely trash your hat. Such a lovely blank canvas, this roof. It's like the dream roof to do solar, really, isn't it?
10370. Do you know what these are? These are lovely tiles. See these little channels? They're anti-siphon, so they actually go down a little bit lower than the normal plain tiles. So I would say that's the middle rafter there.
So are they not held down with any nails?
Every 5th course.
Right.
And how many rails are we doing? 4?
Yeah.
2 on each panel?
Yeah.
Just to make sure we've got enough space for the solar skirt all the way around, so probably needs another 150 mil.
14 foot?
Yeah.
Are we going to have an Imperial go today, are we?
Whatever you want. 427?
Well, let's go 7 foot if it's bang on 14 foot. Right, that's the middle.
Alright, so we've just chalked out, found our centre of the roof, chalked in between. We've gone every other rafter from the centre. So we've took the tiles out on the bottom row we need. We're just going to get all the hooks in place, and then once that rail's on, we can stand on that and do the next one, do the next one. So we'll get this all done, move round to the other side and just repeat the process. While I'm screwing this down, I'll get Luke just to get the bits ready in front of me and I'll follow behind.
These are what we call roof hooks. So these hooks screw into that joist, and then the rail that the solar panels are mounted onto goes along on the top of these roof hooks or below these roof hooks. And they're installing these flashings around them. That's to maintain the weatherproof seal of the roof to make sure no water or insects and things get in. There are different roof hooks for different types of roofing. So if you've got slate, it'll be a different roof. If you've got pan tiles, it'll be a different roof. These are plain tiles. So it's important to choose the right roof hooks to fit with the particular size roof, type of roof that you've got, depending on the roofing materials. So the roof hooks along here are on now, and what we've done is mounted the rail onto that. Now we have a slight problem because the joiners have not arrived yet, so we can't fix it all back fully until the joiners are here tomorrow morning, but they've got another 2 rows to do up there as well. So this row will be for the bottom line of panels. We've got 8 panels going along here in portrait, and then another line of 8 along the top. And what we want is to try and space them evenly on the roof so that there's a nice even gap all the way around and it just looks really neat. They've put the tiles back, they've cut out the bits that are needed in order to make room for the roof hook, and they've put this flashing over. When the rain comes down, it will just run off and over that, and it creates quite a nice neat finish. So it's going well, I'll update you shortly.
Lift the tile and do a little cut, or just poke, and when I see your finger I'll cut it. Yeah. I'll give you some plasters after.
Rolling.
Alright, Luke.
Rolling on me.
You done? While Luke's having a sing up there, just in the loft space of the garage, luckily it's quite clear. Luke's up on the roof, and we're just going to poke some oval conduit through, just ready for our DC cables, and then we can tie them along the rails on the roof, and we can clip it all down here, down to the inverter where Jordan is. Yeah, go on, that's it. Shame you've gone straight into a bit of word, but...
Right, so we're here, it's freezing cold, it's -2. The Guys are finishing off some stuff on the roof. I'm cracking on with this. I did do a bit about this part in my vlog, did a bit of a time lapse and stuff. So make sure you head to the weekly vlog that I've done of this week. Link in the card, little pop-up thingy somewhere here. The guys are just finishing getting the string cables in through the roof. There's a few little roof repairs to do. And as soon as those are done, probably in the next hour or two, then panels are going to go on. So I've just got to be busy here. So I've got this for the Modbus. So the Solar Edge Modbus, it's like an energy meter basically that reads how much power the house is using, and it communicates with the Solar Edge app so that you can see exactly what's going on. So that's going to go there. We're going to put the Modbus in off this switch use connection unit. So I've got my inverter on the wall, obviously. On my plan here, it's all mapped out. I actually printed it out because it's just easier to follow. That is basically what I've got to create now today.
All right, good morning guys. If you can see from my breath, it is all of -2 at the moment, so we've jumped in the loft. I'm just clipping the DC cables down to where the inverter is, and then they can get put in the DC isolators.
So up on the roof, all of the brackets have been fixed, the rails have been fixed. And what we've done yesterday, in order to measure everything out perfectly and get the optimizers in the right place, which I'll tell you what the optimizers are for in a minute, we actually did a center line. So we pinged a center line with a chalk line down here, you can just see. That gives us our exact center, and then what we did is we cut a piece of conduit that's the exact length of one of the panels' width, and then we just laid that out and we put all the mid clamps in place so that we know exactly where the panels are starting and ending, so that we've got them exactly centered. In the center of each panel we fixed our optimizers down. So these are the Solar Edge optimizers, and what they do is they optimize the production of each panel, particularly beneficial if there's any shading on the roof, but it just also allows us to monitor every single panel and the production of each individual panel. And what we've done yesterday as well is we've mapped it all out using the Solar Edge mapping tool. So there's an app where we just scan the QR code on each optimizer and we say this optimizer is under this panel. So it really helps with ongoing maintenance of the system as well. Because the weather is so damp and cold at the moment, what we did last night is we put tape over the connectors here, because what we did not want is for moisture to get inside and then freeze and cause us issues when we're fitting our panels. So I'm really glad we did that, because as you can see it's super frosty today. We also ran in our string cables yesterday, and we've done it in a special way that will avoid the possibility of induction loops, which could create problems if there's a lightning strike. So at the end of each row of panels, the last optimizer, we've got a connector here. So this is a positive connector. We've got to then fit a negative connector on here and plug those in together. This one goes down to the inverter, and then we have the same on the other side, on the opposite side of this string. And I'll show you the string drawing so you can see exactly what I mean. Here's the inverter, and we have 2 strings. So originally what I wanted to do is wire this as one string, so it would essentially come up from the inverter, and we would just loop in between all the panels like that, and then we'd come back down this row of panels, and that would be one string, then this would be the other. However, simulating everything in the Solar Edge design tool, because this side of the roof gets more sun than this, that side would just be, the voltage would be too high for having 16 panels on that side. So what we've had to do is actually string it slightly differently. This line and this line are on one string. So if we put one there, and the internal lines are on the second string. But to avoid having induction loops, the regulations say that you should not have a big loop of cable like that. You should always run the positive and negative together. To avoid a long cable run, what I wanted to do really was just run from here through the roof to the other side, back, and then like that. But we can't actually do that because we'd basically be creating a big induction loop. So what we've had to do is run a cable from here all the way back, along the rail, through the roof, along the rail all the way to the end here, and then we loop between our panels, between our optimizers, and then that is our other leg of the loop basically. So that's how we've done that one, and then this one exactly the same, string 2, we'll just loop between all the panels, and then we come back along the rail with a DC cable, we loop through the roof, then we go all the way along to the end, and then we link between the optimizers like that. So it does mean that we've got longer cable runs, but we avoid induction loops which could cause DC surges if there was a lightning strike.
Alright, absolute classic. I've been given the worst job because everyone's avoiding it. This armoured, I think it's 25mm 3-core, got run to this meter box a few weeks back, and I don't think any thought's been put into it in the design stage of how it's going to get connected. Basically, we've got a KMF switch here with a fuse in it. That's got to go in the meter cupboard. It's chocker as it is, and it's just been left in the meter cupboard, and it's -2 today, so you can see that's got no bend in it, so I'm going to have to try and get the heat gun on that to make it a bit malleable, but I'm going to tackle it nonetheless. So what I'm going to do, this little adaptable box here, I'm going to pull this armoured back out the meter box, gland it in here, and then I think I'm going to through crimp it with some 25mm through crimps to a set of 25mm tails, punch through the back of that little bit of cavity into the meter box. Then the tails will be a bit more flexible and double insulated to go into the KMF switch. Not the funnest of jobs on a absolute freezing winter day, but we'll get it done.
So I'm doing the DC isolators, but I made a stupid mistake. I cut the holes in the bottom rather than the top. The cables are going to come in the top like that, and when I had the box upside down when I was drilling the holes. So then I was like, what do I do? I've done one. So what I've actually done is I've cut all of them out now, and then I'm going to put blind grommets in, so it kind of like looks like it's supposed to be like that. I mean, it's not really a big deal, but it's just slightly annoying. And I just want everything to look identical, so the only way to do that is actually to do the same with both isolators now and put blind grommets in both.
Right, so I've actually got a nice job. I'm inside in the warmth. In here we've got this Cat 6 cable, runs over to the inside that Jordan's doing. So we're going to bring that in and cut a box in here. So this is going to feed to the back of that. From there we're going to run a patch cable over to the other side and link it to these. We're also going to install an eddy in here, and then I've got to get another Cat 6 cable, take it from the board to read the grids, and bring that out to the meter cupboard.
Alright, so we're just waiting on a gland to get delivered for the armour to go in the bottom here. I've took some tails through into the meter box, so I'll deal with that in a bit. I've put 25mm through crimps on, so I'll loop that round. I'll make a nice loop on the others, get them crimped on, heat shrink over the join. We've got a 25mm earth in the armoured, and we've got a 16 coming from the meter cupboard, so I think I'm just going to screw a little main earth terminal up there, and then the 25mm can go up and into that with a reducing crimp. I'm going to get all this side buttoned up, and then I can turn the power off and work on that side. So we're getting there.
Lee's such a grafter. He never really complains, he just gets on with it, you know. He's got his process, he's very organised, and you know, he works neat, he works clean, really takes pride in his work, but he works fast as well, you know. They're rare, those kind of people who work quality and fast. There's three things: you can have cheap, you can have fast, you can have good. If you want it cheap and fast, it's not going to be good. If you want it fast and good, it's not going to be cheap. If you want it good and cheap, it's not going to be fast. You can never have all three. But with us, we always try to be good and fast, which is why we're not cheap. So these are our DC surge protection devices. These are type 1 and 2, which means that they protect against lightning strikes as well as general surges on the power lines and stuff. So that clicks on there. We've got two of these, so we've got one for each string, obviously wrapped in single-use plastic. Hashtag sorry Greta Thunberg. So these are the Vargo top job connectors that we're going to use. So basically these will go on here, and what will happen is our positive and negative will come through this. So the jumper bars are to link these out, because basically these surge protection devices need to be connected in parallel. So from our DC isolator here, we're going to come out with our positive and negative into here. So say the positive will go in here, negative will go in there, then the positive will come out of here through and into our inverter, and then the negative will come out of here through and into our inverter. And then off of these extra terminals here, we just do a little loop which will go into our surge protection device, connecting in parallel to the string, enabling us to protect the system against surges. The Hilti bandsaw SB422. It's an absolute beast. I'm just going to use it to cut this dim rail. Beautiful. I love it.
Nice. No water spilt, nothing burst.
So what I've got to do here before we put the panels on is just put the ends on these. This is an MC4 negative connector. That pin goes in it and connects and goes into there. So what we've got to do is just strip this. That will go in there like that. What I usually do is put this in the crimping tool first, like so. Then just pop that in there, make sure all the cores are inside, which they are. And then that is one nicely crimped pin. And then what happens is that simply slides in there and clicks. And then we can just tighten that up basically. Nice and waterproof. Me up when I'm in Tahiti, on a beach, not on a roof. Oh, it's a lovely clicky sound. That. Just peeling the tape off this, and I'm glad we did put that tape on because it's pretty wet, to be honest. There we go. Click. So I just want to give a massive shout out to one of our amazing YouTube channel members. He's a Pringles for Life member. You get a shout out. Thank you so much, Jacob, for supporting our channel. We really appreciate it. So the next part is the funnest part, getting the panels on the roof. Let's do it. So we're being extra careful to get these first two panels lined up absolutely perfectly, so that all the rest will just go into place quickly but also stay in line. The first two are really key to getting everything square. We want it square with all four sides of the roof, which is the tricky part. And if you get it just a few millimeters out on the first one, that can add up to several centimeters out by the time you get to the other side.
Just warmed up a little bit, had some lunch. Basically brung this armoured up, glanded it in, crimped it through to some tails, taken them through into the meter box, into this KMF switch with a 63 amp fuse, and then down, and we've managed to get some Henley blocks, new isolator in. Now that armoured is protected by the KMF switch all the way to the garage fuse board. So we can liven that up and start getting some circuits ready for the solar.
It is bitterly cold, guys. Panels on one side are on, which is great, all lined up. Took a little bit of jiggling around to get it right, but spot on now. The guys are going to start on this side of the roof. Lee's finished connecting the mains up, so that means we can start to liven this board up soon, which would be good, but I just need to crack on and get everything laid out, so I'm going to focus on this now while the guys are up there. We've got an issue here, the jumper bars haven't turned up to link between these, but we can wire them all up. It just means that It won't be fully working until we get the little jumper bars to bridge out these terminals. These are our DC strings. Now normally you would have these all terminated safely before you start putting panels on, because you'd start to get a high voltage on these. But with the Solar Edge, because it's only 1 volt per panel, as you connect the panels to the optimizers, we're only going to have a maximum of 16 volts on here anyway, which is not enough to shock anyone. So I can kind of work live on them almost, but just so you know, it's not good practice to do that in general, because if it wasn't a Solar Edge system, then it would be you'd be talking about 500-600 volts DC, which is very dangerous. I've still got to get my AC isolators on, so I think what I'll do is I'll mount those, I'll mount the meter, then everything is mounted, and then it's just a case of doing all the wiring.
Oh, lunging on a Thursday afternoon. Oh, mate.
Right, if you've just got it, I'll mate.
Give a film.
You alright?
Yeah, you do your side then, yeah. Looks spot on. Rest them on there, and then that's it, I've got it.
So I've just been wiring the internal bridges here with the DC surge protection devices. We've identified the red as positive, white as negative. That's the new colours for DC, and I've just tried to make it all symmetrical. So I've laid it out this way so that it's as symmetrical as possible, basically. So now I'm going to take the DC cables into the isolator, out of the isolator into here, and then out of here into the inverter.
They go opposite, so I'm saying that we're both coming in the top here, but I know sometimes don't they go like round.
What, like, I'm just, because I don't really want to just take that in the top because it's so tight.
So you do a loop in here and then in the top.
I suppose, yeah. Yeah.
Up here for thinking, down there for dancing.
So all the panels are on, and we need to test to make sure that they're reading correctly. With Solar Edge, it's 1 volt per panel, so we should have 16 volts per string. And we're just going to test that by testing each of our strings. So if we test this, there we go, 16 volts, boom. Obviously the sun is still shining at the moment, so we've got a reading. If it was dark, then we might not have any reading, so something to bear in mind. But that's good. So I've got my DC isolator on now. Little question for you guys in the comments, let me know, are DC eddy currents a thing? I wanted to pass the 2 negatives through this brass bush here for neatness sake, basically. So 2 negatives through there, 2 positives through there, because then I could take the incoming negative in there, and then I could swoop under for the outgoing negative underneath, and then the same with the positive straight down and swoop under. But I am worried that if I run the positives and negatives separately through a brass lock ring bush thing, then it will cause issues with eddy current. So I've not done it. Aesthetics take second place over safety, I guess, but let me know in the comments if that is just like not actually a thing anyway. Right guys, that is the end for today. We're just buttoning a few things up here, but it's cold. We're all ready to get home and cozy in for the night, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Alright, good morning. It is Friday. A little bit warmer than what it was yesterday, which is good, but still got about 100 layers on. Jordan's had to get called off to another job in Cambridge because I think someone's ill. I'm just trying to prep as much of this as I can, or get most of it finished if I can. So there's a lot of circuits that need to go away on the board. Got the car charger, CTs to bring down, got a circuit for the AC isolator for the solar, got all the Modbus connections to do. I'm just going to get the radio on in the background, and hopefully by the time Jordan gets here it's just a case of doing some testing and commissioning.
Do you know what I bought in today? Guess, come on, have a guess.
Monster.
Yes.
So did I.
I went to veg day this morning, I was like, I'm going to get one of those.
I took one fishing with me, and I was like, I didn't have it because I was just drinking coffee, and then I was like, in the fridge all week, I was like, I'll save that for Friday, I'm going to need it.
I'm going to crash and burn about 2 o'clock.
I can't work in this mess that Jordan's left. Where's he left everything?
And basically I put in an eddy, so the excess solar they'd be sending back to the grid. Instead of that, they can use that to heat up the element. Took it from here, the fuse spur. Then from there I've just run the cable and joined onto the immersion. So yeah, it's just a good little money saving thing as well.
Alright, boss man's still not here, so I'm having a cheeky coffee break. Basically, DC cables come from the panels into your DC isolators. I've labelled them string 1, which is doing the top 2 rows, string 2 does the bottom 2 rows, and then in here you've got your surge protection, string 1, DC surge protection, string 2, and then from there comes up, and we've just got our positive and negative connections into the inverter. Got the AC from the AC isolator all wired up, and I'm just running some data cable now. So we're going to take one data cable through and into the Modbus, and then we're going to take another data cable through up to this network switch, so it's got a hardwired internet connection. And I'm hoping by the time I do that, Jordan will be here and he can faff around with his board, because I don't want to touch it.
It is absolutely freezing. It's -2 degrees Celsius, which for us Brits is pretty chilly. Winter is finally here. So we put a call out for help, and ITS came to our rescue today. They've given us these amazing heated jackets. They've got these battery packs, but in the pocket here, got a USB cable. This is so cool, right? I love this. So we just literally plug it into this power bank, give it a couple of minutes, and I can already feel my back starting to warm up. It's got like a heat mat across the back. Oh, it's so nice. It just really takes the chill off. In fact, it gets pretty toasty. So massive thanks to ITS for sorting us out with these jackets. Make sure you head to the links in the description, because there are some amazing deals in their January sale. All the information where you can find out more is in the links below. Now, when it comes to getting solar installed, one thing that's important that a lot of people don't take seriously is bird protection. Birds, particularly pigeons, absolutely love nesting under solar panels. I'll show you a picture on screen now of one that I saw the other day where the whole roof was just covered in pigeons, and there must have been 10 or 15 pigeons nests under there. That can cause real problems. So we fit as standard bird protection, but there are loads of different types of bird protection out there. The bog standard stuff that you'll see on most solar installs is just like a wire mesh that goes around the edge. And to be honest, it just looks really hideous. So what we do, as you know, we do everything the Artisan way. We use this. This is called solar skirt, and it's basically, like it says, it's a skirt that goes all the way around the panels, but it's made of this solid metal sheeting. The reason we like this is because it just looks so much better, and it actually gives a really neat finish around the panels. It almost makes them look like they're meant to be on the roof. I'll leave links below where you can find out more about this, because it is a fantastic product that I don't think that many people are aware exists on the market. So if you're a solar installer, or if you're thinking of getting solar done on your roof, this could be a good option. And you can actually get Solar Skirt to come and retrofit this. So if you're having problems with pigeons, what you could do is get a pest controller in to remove all the pigeons' nests, and then get Solar Skirt in, and they'll actually send a team out to your roof. They'll do it all on harnesses and stuff, so you don't even need to pay to get scaffolding put up, and they'll come and retrofit the Solar Skirt to your existing solar PV system. So great solution. So I'm just terminating these data cables now. These are for the various devices. So we've got this one for the inverter, this one for the Zappy, this one is the Wi-Fi, which is an existing Wi-Fi router that's over the other side of the garage that we just rewired with a new data cable. And then this one is the main internet into the building. So what I'm doing is crimping these little pass-through RJ45 connectors on the end. Once these are done, then I'm just going to get this board buttoned up. Everything else is pretty much done, and then we can start commissioning. If I lick this, I would be dead right now. That's the title. That's the thumbnail. So we're ready to turn the system on now. Very exciting moment, commissioning, and the sun is still shining, so we need to do it before the sun goes down, because there needs to be light on the panels for the solar edge system to pick up all the panels. What, shall I say something, or shall I just...
We started the commissioning process, but we forgot to film it. Then, when we tried to film it, it chucked it down with snow. And then I went on holiday. Sorry, we will try harder next time. See you on the next video.
there's a turd on the floor. I put a bag over the top of it.